Good evening. Welcome to this meeting of the Cabinet Subcommittee Council Charities. Please be advised that the meeting is being audio and video recorded and live streamed. I will now explain how proceedings will work and to confirm that officers attending remotely can be heard. Can I confirm the following officer joining us remotely can hear us and that we can hear them? Ian Cooper?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good evening. Are there any other officers in attendance remotely that I haven't called out? If a member wishes to speak, they should use the speak button on the microphone unit and it will turn green. When the chair invites you to speak, your microphone will turn red, at which point you can speak. Voting will be conducted via the yes, no, abstain buttons in the usual way. Are there any questions before we start this meeting? Okay. Item number 1, election of chair. Can I please have a nomination to be chair of this meeting of the Cabinet Subcommittee Council Charities? Councillor Allen?
Thank you very much. I nominate Councillor Ian Albert.
A seconder.
No.
Is there any objection to Councillor Ian Albert being elected chair of this meeting? I therefore confirm Councillor Ian Albert to be chair.
Thank you, Susan. Right, let's proceed with the meeting. Welcome, colleagues, and anyone watching remotely. Apologies for absence. We have none. Minutes of the last meeting, which was on the 19th of November 2024. Propose we take as read and approve as a true record the minutes of the meeting of the subcommittee held on the 19th of November 2024. Could I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Debenham. Any comments? Can't see any. Shall we move to the vote then? All those in favour of accepting those minutes?
Chair, that motion is carried.
Thank you. Thank you, and thanks, colleagues. Notification of other business. There's no other business. Chair's announcements. In accordance with council policy, this meeting has been recorded. The recordings will be available both on the council's YouTube channel as well as on the council's ModGov site alongside the documents from the meeting. Members are reminded to make declarations of interest before an item. The detailed reminder about this and speaking rights is set out under Chair's announcements on the agenda. For the purposes of clarification, Section 4.8.23a of the Constitution does not apply to this meeting. Therefore, a member may leave the room during the debate and consideration of that item and be able to vote. However, please be mindful of the business on the agenda and wherever possible, leave at an appropriate point in the proceedings. Public participation, there is none, which then takes us to the annual accounts and returns for the council administered charities, and it's Ian Cooper to present. Ian.
Thank you, Chair. This report is the annual report we bring to this committee, subcommittee, as you act as trustees of our now five charities that the council acts on behalf of. This is to approve the annual returns and accounts in line with the requirements of the Charities Commission. Just a couple of things to note as updates compared to the report and the appendices. In paragraph 8.9 of the report, it mentions a verbal update in relation to the progress on the audit by internal audit of the charities. That still hasn't got to a draft report stage yet, so nothing to update on this stage, albeit I have been told that it will be a fairly good recommendation, not perfect, but some no serious faults finds in terms of that audit. And also to confirm that I'm still waiting to get the number in Appendix 5 for the number of volunteers for King George V. I will make sure we get that before we get to submitting it, but I'm expecting it to be in line with last year, which is 35. So the recommendations ask you to approve the various appendices and returns to go to the Charities Commission, and to approve the audit by SIAS as an additional review as required by the Charities Commission for the two relevant charities, which are the Gymnasium and Workmen's Hall and the King George's Field.
Thank you, Ian. Any questions from colleagues? I have, just one, just in relation, Ian, in terms of the accounts, for example, around the gym and Workman's Hall. Obviously, there is sort of fairly sort of significant reserves there and funding there. Is that sort of fixed sort of funding in terms of this money is ring fenced for only use within the gym and Workman's Hall and that specific charity? If you could just maybe just sort of explain, and certainly for obviously if anyone watching, what the funds are there, which obviously it's not an insignificant amount, sort of over sort of 2 million, and what, if anything, that is done with those funds and how we depreciate those funds.
Yeah, all those funds for both King Hitchin Town, the Gymnasium, Workman's Hall, and King George V, where there are assets involved, and indeed Miss Howard Hall now, they are tied up in the asset value. So it just reflects the asset value of the charity and the property or land that is held there. Therefore, they're not accessible because it's tied up in the land or building. So therefore, that's why they're much restricted funds. There's no way we can disperse those funds, and indeed in the kind of the detailed stuff that sits behind that, we kind of asked, do we have a policy for use of our reserves? And we say no, because we haven't got any reserves we can actually disperse. As it's tied up in the land property value, they are depreciated over time, and we use the council's standard accounting policies to depreciate the assets over their useful life.
Thanks, Ian. I think that's helpful, and these are really, important assets for the council, and obviously you touched on Mrs. Howard Hall in Letchworth and so on. And these things obviously will, obviously, particularly as we do in the future, move through the local government reorganisation thing, we won't want to lose sight of. They are hugely valuable assets for our community across the whole of the district. Are there any other questions for Ian? No, can't see anything. So there are two recommendations in front of us. That 2.1, that the Charities Subcommittee approves the information required by the Charities Commission for the 5 registered charities, so that returns can be submitted prior to the 31st January 2026 deadline. And 2.2, that the Charities Subcommittee notes the requirement for those charities with gross income of more than 25,000 in their financial year to have their accounts independently examined, and as this applies to King George's Field and the Hitchin Town Hall Gymnasium and Workman's Hall, instructs this to be undertaken for those accounts for 24-25. This will be undertaken by the Shared Internal Audit Service. I'm happy to propose this from the chair. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Allen, thank you for seconding. Any debate? No, I can't see anything. So shall then we move to the votes.
Chair, that motion is carried.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And if I'm not incorrect, is to say that I think that concludes our business for this evening. Thank you very much for those attending and for officers attending. I'll formally close the meeting at 17:40. Thank you, everyone.